Over the Christmas holidays, I got the chance to try Changa for the first time. And Changa is a form of smokable DMT, and it's something that's been on my radar for a while now, but I just hadn't been able to get hold of some. But now I have, and so I thought I'd make this quick video to tell you what I thought about it. So, let's talk about Changa. Normally, I don't like going into too much detail about what a substance actually is, because you can find all that stuff on Wikipedia, and I always find it a little bit tedious how every YouTuber always feels the need to explain Ayahuasca is a brew made from 2 different plants in the Amazon, blah blah blah. In this case though, with Changa, it's worth talking a little bit about it because I discovered something interesting as I started trying to get hold of some of this substance. And basically, there is a lot of confusion out there about what Changa actually is. And so a lot of what is being sold as Changa isn't what I would define as Changa. So what actually is Changa? Well, Changa is a smokable form of DMT, which is infused into a concoction of herbs, but primarily with the dried ayahuasca vine. And there are a couple of key things here which set it apart from the regular free-based DMT, which I've talked about previously in my various trip reports. Firstly is that you can smoke it pretty much like you would with cannabis. You can roll it into a joint, you can stick it in a bong, or you can put it in a dry herb vaporizer. Now some of these will achieve better results than others, but the point is that it's a lot more versatile than regular DMT, which can be a little bit fiddly, particularly when you're trying to achieve a breakthrough experience. So much so even that I made a couple of guides on how to do it, which I'll link to up there somewhere. Next is that because the smokable mixture contains the ayahuasca vine, which in itself contains the MAOI alkaloids, then you get a different kind of experience compared to the hyperspace insanity of pure DMT. It's supposed to be smoother, easier to navigate, and longer lasting. And the idea is that it's kind of a mini ayahuasca trip, and we'll get more into that later. Okay, so what is the confusion thing that I talked about earlier? Well, some Changa that is being sold out there doesn't actually contain the ayahuasca vine, but instead it just infuses the DMT onto any dry herb, for example like parsley, or even something with its own psychoactive effects like cannabis. Now, this isn't necessarily being done nefariously, and some people might prefer blend A over blend B, but it does mean that just buying Changa doesn't guarantee what's in the mix that you receive, so it's worth asking exactly what is in the blend you are buying. And another thing to consider is that there are different strengths of Changa available, as in how much DMT is actually being infused into these herbs. It could be a fairly low amount, or it could be a lot. And obviously, this is going to affect the outcome of the experience. As far as I'm concerned, Changa is DMT infused onto dried ayahuasca vine, and anything else is not Changa. It's just like if I go on a retreat to drink ayahuasca, then I expect a brew made with ayahuasca and not using a substitute like Syrian rue. You know, I know this might sound a little bit pedantic, but I think it's important that people know what they are getting, especially when it comes to MAOIs. Now we've got all that out of the way, I will talk about what the actual experience was like, particularly when compared against pure freebase DMT. Changa is a lot more mellow than the freebase, to the point that it was actually a fairly social experience. I did it with my wife Rachel, and as we were taking hits from the water pipe with the Changa in it, we were laughing, we were talking, we were just messing around being silly. And this is completely different from the experience with pure DMT, where you're pretty much unable to move and having this psychic head explosion of consciousness. The way that Changa feels from the get-go is how freebase DMT feels as you're coming out of the experience. You kind of completely bypass that stressful blast off into hyperspace and the ensuing kind of reality replacement of what the fuck? And instead you just jump straight to the pleasant 4D visual phasing and that kind of almost cartoon-like perception of colour. It's a really nice, pleasant experience, and possibly because of the MAOI element that's in there, there is this feeling that it's similar to the ayahuasca drunkenness, which is traditionally known as the mariachion. Now, this kind of sidestepping around the door to hyperspace has its advantages and disadvantages. On the plus side, it means that there is a lot less anxiety around doing it, because Changa doesn't feel like as much of a plunge into chaos. And that also makes it a really good entry point for someone who's never done psychedelics before but wants to dip their toe in the water. On the negative side, it means that you're never going to really hit the same extreme highs of the experience as you do with pure DMT, which, if we're honest, is probably the whole reason we wanted to do it in the first place. I mean, I use DMT to blow my mind, whereas Changa was more like, this is cool, yeah. I think where Changa would really shine is in social situations, or in situations where you want a taste of the DMT world, but without going full on what the fuck. I mean, I could totally see myself taking some of this on, say, like a camping trip and doing it while sitting around the campfire or just staring up at the stars. And again, you can smoke it pretty much as easily as weed, so it's very portable. Still, if you want the full DMT experience of entities and mystical symbology and cosmic absurdity, then check out my recent guide on how to get there in one hit, along with my recent trip reports. Okay, so that's my take on Changa. What do you guys think? Have you tried it? Did you like it? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks so much to my supporters on Patreon and to all you guys who take the time to watch my videos. I've got a lot of stuff planned for 2021, so stay tuned and I will see you next time.